today we are going to be, I forgot how to talk. Hey friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Brooke, and today we are going to be setting up my new bookshelf and reorganizing my old bookshelf together. I have so many books and I ran out of space on my big bookshelf, so I went ahead and bought another one, and we're gonna go ahead and put them together today, and I'm going to give you a little tour of every single book I own. Ooh, that was almost bad. Okay, what we've got here is every book that I own. I just deconstructed this entire bookshelf to reorganize all of my books because I ran out of room and had to buy another bookshelf. So I took all of them down and put them in piles, and we're gonna go through them and reorganize them in a way that makes more sense. So I thought it would be fun to kind of go through all of the books that I own and hopefully not knock them down. They're really disorganized right now, so any series or pairs I'm gonna match up and put together on the shelves. I used to try to do my bookshelf in alphabetical order, but it didn't really work out and I kept messing it up. So this does include a couple things of manga that we do not have any finished series in this house. So we have the first 3 only, I believe, of the Solo Leveling manga. So we'll put that off to the side. The first one of Chainsaw Man and the first one of Tokyo Ghoul. And then I do have more manga in my game room. Then we have the series that I've been absolutely stuck on lately, the Throne of Glass series. So I'm currently on Heir of Fire. So that is book number 4 for me. I have been speed reading these, so I just went ahead and bought the other 3 today. So I'm really excited to get to those. So we're gonna keep those ones off to the side as well because I wanna order them together, and I still have technically 1 more book to buy. Then we have my beloved, and I just got these back from my best friend who was borrowing them. We have my very beloved Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, and I sped read these 2, and I forgot to tab Fourth Wing, but I did tab Iron Flame. So I'm gonna go back and reread these, but probably not until right before Onyx Storm comes out, which I pre-ordered with the one with the sprayed edges. Then we've got the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. I do not own this entire series in paperback because I own it on Kindle. So I only have the first 2 in paperback because I never finished buying it. Once we find the second one, I will put them together. It is somewhere in these piles. I have not read this book yet. I won it in a giveaway. It is still on my list. I do think what I'm going to end up doing is making one of these shelves primarily books that I have not read, and then the other one primarily the books that I have read or like my favorite books. So I don't know which is going to be which yet because I don't know which I have more of, but I might separate them that way. The Secret Life of Bees, which I have not read, but I have seen the movie. Midnight Sun, which I never finished, and I do not have the actual Twilight series. I just have this. I'm Glad My Mom Died. This book will forever live on in my head. I want to read it again so bad. Left such an impact on me. I could make an entire video just about this book. Gothic Anna. Wow. I thoroughly enjoyed this book, probably more than I should have, but also it's so pretty. So I do collect different versions of Alice in Wonderland, so I have multiple different versions of these. I don't know how many I have, so we'll find that out here. Off the tops of these piles I found 2. So this is actually the first one I ever owned, and this is the one that I got most recently. This is a little book that my friend in high school brought back for me from Spain from a very old library, George Eliot's works. I have never actually read it because the pages are very fragile and the whole book is very fragile, but it's a very, very old book, and I treasure it just because it's so unique. Got a bunch of my tabs here that were hidden in my bookshelf and all fell apart. I don't remember this book. It's called Such a Pretty Girl. I don't know if I've read it. I really don't remember. I don't even know where I got it. It just has been on my bookshelf forever. Her Majesty's Royal Coven. I do remember getting this one. I still have not read this. I am kind of a sucker for any book that has anything witchy or says anything about covens, which is why this came home with me. Of course, The Best of Me. I have read this. This is a copy that I picked up from a thrift store just because I knew that I liked the book. I haven't read it in a very long time, probably since middle school or high school. Here is another part of my Alice in Wonderland collection. So this one is actually separated of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. It looks very old. I found this at a used book and record store, which is one of my favorite places around here, and it was such a find. Altogether, it cost me $30, and for books this old looking and unique, I was happy to spend it. A Day of Fallen Night. I do have The Priory of the Orange Tree in here somewhere, which I am currently rereading for a book club. I have not read this yet. It will probably be on my list somewhere soon for the book club. This book's called Kingdom of the Feared. I haven't read it. I found it at Barnes & Noble. Why does it say only at Walmart? I definitely did not get this at Walmart. Got this at Barnes & Noble because it was in the book talk section and it looked really cool. Haven't read it yet. One of the Throne of Glass books. We also have the two of the big volumes of Berserk. They're absolutely massive and so heavy. I'm going to put these off to the side too because we're going to separate the manga differently. Then, of course, we have the Harry Potter series. This is the book set that I got when I was, I don't know, maybe a freshman in high school. And that was the first time I ever read Harry Potter. And I've reread this very many years in a row. I don't know, it's just a staple. I mean, I don't support J.K. Rowling or her beliefs. Of course, I had this before any of that came out about her, but the series does hold deep in my heart for all that it is, but I do not support her anymore, unfortunately. So this will be the only set of copies of these books that I ever own. Then we have the All Souls trilogy, which is a series that one of my coworkers from one of my old jobs recommended to me, and it was pretty good. Not the best. Probably won't ever read it again. We have Practical Magic by Alice Hoffman. Have not finished the book, but have seen the movie a million times, and I adore it. A Broken Blade. I haven't read this yet, but I want to. Daughter of the Moon Goddess. I think I have read this, if I remember correctly. If I have, it's been a while, but it's on, I don't know if it's on the list that I put in recently for book club or not. The Kite Runner, I could also make an entire video about. I love this book. I also have its twin in here, A Thousand Splendid Suns. Both of them made me sob uncontrollably, and one of them I finished on a plane. I'm embarrassed to own this book. I really, really am. I read It Ends With Us, and I liked it enough that I wanted to read this book. And then I found the other side of reading and realized that these books kind of suck. And now I will not ever read this book. So it just sits on my shelf. And I'll probably get rid of it at some point to somebody who does enjoy these kinds of books. It's just not going to be me. The Vampire Diaries, I still need to get more of these. I've only read this one, but I want to read the rest. I just haven't bought them. This is where it ends. I've had this since high school. Don't really remember what it's about, but I own it. A Touch of Darkness, I have not read yet, on my list. We've got the infamous Percy Jackson series. I don't have all of them because I've been trying to secondhand them. You can see with this one, it's like destroyed because I got it at a thrift store. I think I have 3 of them, maybe, or maybe 2. A Secret History of Witches. Read this with my book club. It's a whole story. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Have not read, but I have had this book forever, and I will hopefully read it one day. The House in the Cerulean Sea. We have read. Love this book. Throne of Glass. Crown of Midnight. I thought I was organizing them somewhere else. I don't know where they went. A Thousand Splendid Suns. This sister book of The Kite Runner. The Outsiders, everybody's favorite from middle school. Obsessed. The Shadow in the Glass. This was a pretty good book. I read this a couple of years ago. No complaints. I even tagged this one, I guess. Payback's a Witch. Read this one a while ago. Apparently tabbed this one too. John Green, Paper Towns. Haven't read this since like middle school. Will probably never read it again, but I wanted it on my bookshelf. Circe, one of my favorites. Love Madeline Miller so much. I also love Song of Achilles, but I do not have a physical copy of that one because I had borrowed it from a friend the first time I read it. My bookshelves, my bookshelves, my book stacks are gonna fall over. These we don't need to show on camera. Fruits Basket, iconic. Still haven't finished it. A couple of manga that are not camera appropriate. It's fine. Yeah, they're all from the same series. Don't worry about it. This stack is definitely gonna fall over. So another series, one that kind of made me fall in love with reading. That's not part of this series. I don't know where the other one is. There's 4 of them, but the Hush Hush series by Becca Fitzpatrick. I loved this series so much. I would like to return to it because I feel like it was such a staple for my love for fantasy growing up. And I remember getting, I think, this first book for Christmas one year and just devouring it in an entire day. And I could not get enough of it. I do hate that I have all the different like kinds of covers. Like this one's smaller than the others. The last one's in a hardback, but at the time it was just whatever I could get. The Land of Milk and Honey, I read pretty recently with my book club. Another stack for the Alice in Wonderland collection. This one's probably my favorite. My favorite color is purple, and it's got the silver edges, and it's just so pretty. Oh, there's the other book in the Hush Hush series. We've got a nice little self-help book, It Didn't Start With You. Oh, there's tabs in here. That's good to know. I'll use those. I didn't finish this yet, but it is very interesting if you're into self-help books or learning about your childhood trauma. This book I got at some festival. It's called Greedy. It's about the bisexual experience, which is something I'm quite familiar with. So eventually we'll read it. The Birth of Venus. I got this at a thrift store, I think. Still haven't read it. The Night and Its Moon. One of my best friends got me for Secret Santa last year. Still haven't read it. Heard some controversial things about the author of this book, but it was a gift to me, so I will read it. And I very much like the aesthetic of the cover. The Family Plot, I have read. Very good book. Tom Felton's autobiography, Beyond the Wand, Chef's Kiss. I love a good autobiography if it's from somebody that I care about or admire. So his and Jeanette McCurdy's are the only two autobiographies I've ever read, and I love them so much. Gone Girl, I read this a very long time ago. The If I Stay collection, I read this in high school, I think, back when the movie came out. This book, I was at a festival and they had a blind date with a book section, and I ended up with 3 books that I think I will never read. This one just sounds like it loves capitalism like no other, and it's just not my cup of tea. This is part of the From Blood and Ash series. Haven't read this one yet. I have read the rest of the series. I only have the first one in a physical copy. The rest I have on my Kindle. I think this is the other one that I got from the blind date with a book. It's called The Cactus. It looks like a regular romance book. I'm just not super big into regular romance. I'm more of a romantic-y, dark romance kind of girl. I think this is one of the other ones that I got, and the tag on it said spiritual, and instead of spiritual, I got Christian, and I'm not a Christian, so. I forgot, this is one of the other autobiographies that I own, or I guess it's a memoir, Counting the Cost by Jill Duggar. I have read some of it. I haven't read all of it yet. I do plan to. I find it very interesting. I've seen a lot about their story, and I'm looking forward to reading more once I have more time to do so. We Do What We Do in the Dark. Have not read this yet. I think I got this from Barnes & Noble. Haunting Adeline. Got this one from Barnes & Noble relatively recently, Dirty Lying Fairies. Haven't read it yet. Sounds really good. Here's the second ACOTAR book. I lost the first one already. The Year of the Witching. I think we read this for book club, and I think it was bad. Maybe. No, this wasn't the one we read. I lied. The first From Blood and Ash book, I ordered this from Amazon and the pages fell out of it. So it's kind of a mess. Maybe I'll glue them back in eventually, but. Little Women, which I have never read, but I felt like I needed it on my shelf. Charlie St. Cloud. This book is well loved. I used to read this repetitively. It was one of my favorites. Now I wish I had the original cover and not the one with Zac Efron's face on it. It's fine. Fahrenheit 451 was a gift given to me by one of my high school teachers. We shared a very deep love for books, and I very much enjoyed this book. The Last Woman in the Forest, I have never read. I've had it for quite some time. One day, I'll get around to it. Diary of an Oxygen Thief, I have read. I don't remember anything about it. I could talk for years about this book. This book is my most well-loved book. I tore the front cover and it had to be taped back on. The pages are so flimsy. I have read it so many times. This was my comfort book for such a long time, and I will never forget it. It is ingrained in my memory. Another Alice book. This one I also really like because it's just freaking huge and very aesthetically pleasing. We've got Priory, which, like I said, I'm currently reading with my book club. Tabbed the hell out of this book. One of my favorite books of all time. Would recommend to literally anyone. Iron Widow, again, a book I read for book club. Absolutely obsessed. Tabbed the hell out of it. Can't wait for the sequel to come out. When Women Were Dragons. Please don't read this. Wild and Wicked Things. Haven't read this yet. One day I will. Butcher and Blackbird I bought relatively recently. I might get around to this after I finish Throne of Glass. I don't know how you pronounce this. I'm not going to try right now. It is, I believe, about Greek mythology of some sort. Yeah, in ancient Greece. It sounded really interesting, so I bought it. And the same goes for this one, Lies We Sing to the Sea. Found it, buy one, get one 50% off at Barnes & Noble, so I went ahead and bought it. And then at one point, we bought Mistborn. I don't know, is this the first book in the series? I think it is. It says 1 on the side. But I thought we had realized that we messed up when we bought it. I don't know, but we haven't read it yet. And that's all the books I own. So we're gonna go ahead and organize. I just don't know. I have so much stuff. Like I put like fake flowers and stuff on my bookshelves and candles and witchy stuff. What I'm thinking, I think I have more books that I haven't read than books I have read, which is kind of embarrassing, but I read on my Kindle a lot. So I think we'll do books I haven't read on this shelf. And I'm gonna, I think, split them up, or books that I haven't read in a while, that as well. I'm gonna reserve that bookshelf for like my favorites. I think I'm gonna kind of split them up by like genre, and go from there. So that being said, let's get started. I'm gonna move some of these down here. That way, when I'm done with Priory, it can fit in here. Also, this book I left out on my desk and my cat chewed on it. One thing about Mochi, she's gonna chew on everything. All right, I think we're gonna move to the next bookshelf. Okay, we're over here now. I really want to try to display my Alice in Wonderland collection. Don't know how realistic that is over here. If we run out of space, we're gonna go back over there. But let's get started. Okay, now all that there's left to do is to decorate the bookshelves, which I have a lot of things to decorate with. So when I am done, I will show you everything totally completed. Okay, we've got shelf number 1 and shelf number 2. Thank you guys so much for following along with me today. If I have any of your favorite books, let me know in the comments. We can talk books all day long. I'm super excited to finally have more space for all my stuff. I'm gonna get going back on Throne of Glass so I can speed through this series because I'm absolutely loving it. I do have some plans in the near future for some book talk videos of books that me and my book club have been reading. So I'm very excited for that. So stay tuned and I'll see you soon.